Capital News tonight. Muslim and other religious leaders urged to use their basic rights in general elections to select diligent leaders. Prime Minister Majaliwa says there is no coronavirus patient in Tanzania. And in sports, Namunga FC aim to win their Federation Cup final. Good evening, this is Capital News at 9:30. My name is Vanessa Victor. Let's get started with the national news. Muslims and other religious believers, as well as the public, have been urged to use their basic rights to choose diligent leaders in the upcoming October general elections. This is so that they can get good leaders who will stand up for the country's interests.
As you know, there is representative democracy. Not all of us can attend councillors. As you know, there is representative democracy. Not all of us can go to parliament or councillors' meetings, and all of us cannot become presidents. So we must use this opportunity well to choose good leaders. We're asking those with a good income to share meat with those who cannot afford.
And Prime Minister Majaliwa has assured the public that the country is safe in the fight against coronavirus, adding that there is not one patient with the disease in all hospitals nationwide, and that the information being spread that the virus is present must be disregarded. This was said during Eid al-Hajj prayers at Mnazi Moja grounds in Dar es Salaam, where Prime Minister Majaliwa was the Eid Council's guest of honor.
By joining our leader prayed, there is a lot of false information about our country to separate us, intended to separate us from other nations. The truth is our country is calm. We are taking all necessary precautions so we stay safe. How can we remember Mzee Mkapa, someone who cared so much for peace? It is during the election period, which has caused problems in a lot of countries.
Muslims in Shinyanga region have joined others around the world in celebrating Eid al-Hajj in a ceremony held at Sabasaba Kambarage grounds, with leaders praying for peace for Tanzania during the entire upcoming election period.
It is hard to tell in some of our families who is the authority figure. Is it the father, mother, or the children? You cannot tell. This is why we've come to a place today where we cannot run our families. As religious leaders, we would like to advise you. As you know, according to the law, political parties are allowed to operate, and any citizen can join any political party. So we are ready to speak out about any party that advocates for divisive policy. Urge all Tanzanians to choose good leaders who care for Tanzanians and their country.
Mfano wa kuigwa ni rais wetu Magufuli. Rais Magufuli kwa kweli habagui dini, habagui rangi wala kabila.
And Muslims in Tabora have joined others in the world in celebrating Eid al-Hajj celebrations, asking the government to place emphasis on unity and solidarity among Tanzanians as the country heads towards the general elections, also condemning discrimination among citizens, which causes hate and hostility in the country.
Kwa nafasi yangu ya Sheikh wa mkoa, natoa maelekezo kwa Waislamu wa mkoa wa Tabora.
As the regional sheikh, I'm instructing Muslims in Tabora to participate in the election peacefully. We believe that this will be the case because Tanzanians are peaceful by nature.
Mtoto anapokosea basi ukubali.
If a child is in the wrong, then you should allow him to be disciplined by someone other than his father. In the past, it was the case.
Islam, tunaomba tuwe watulivu.
I'm urging all Muslims to be calm during the electoral process so we can be united. May God guide us so we get a good leader.
Lama, tusiwe na itilafu yoyote.
The Chief Sheikh of Arusha region has advised Muslims to use Eid al-Hajj holiday to resolve family conflicts as they increase poverty and delay development.
Tell every Tanzanian that they must know God well and must care for one another, Muslims and non-Muslims. When you help the needy, it doesn't mean that you are doing them a big favor, but rather you will be enriching your soul.
And Muslims across the world celebrating Eid al-Hajj have also been urged to remember orphans during this important period as their religious teachings state. This was said by the Sheikh of Ibadi Mosque, Nur Musa, who along with other Muslims visited the SOS orphanage with various donations.
Good home is that where an orphan is treated well, it pleases God. If people would understand the reward that comes from looking after orphans, then they will be fighting for a chance to do so. We commend the Muslim community here in Mwanza on how they look after orphans and children living in challenging environment. We're grateful every time you come to our aid. The children are comforted so much when they see you've come to visit them.
And the government has said it will not increase funding for the construction of a maternity ward at Mkuranga District Hospital, directing the District Council to complete construction by September of this year so that it can begin to be used to provide health services to the public.
Let me tell you that the central government will not bring not a single cent towards this building. Manager and your team, make sure that this building must be completed. Honorable President brought in money so that people can have access to service. Once the building is finished, it will enable us to get service.
The Prevention and Combating of Corruption Bureau, PCCB, in Arusha region has successfully saved 1,700 million shillings, which include government taxes that were evaded by hunting companies, as well as funds of small-scale entrepreneurs that were defrauded by a meat factory and funds of members of Arusha Cooperative Union, ACU.
Mizigo mbalimbali ambayo ilikuwa haijalipwa na kampuni ya uwindaji ya utalii ya SKS
1,484,360,036, which was money owed in government taxes. So the amount has been deposited in a government account through TRA. In addition to 135 million, which is part of 904 million belonging to Arusha Cooperative Union, has been saved, which was embezzled after union assets were sold by untrustworthy individuals. Regarding the matter involving those who were cheated out of their money by owners of Kijenge Animal Products Limited in Arusha, PCCB in Arusha is continuing with the investigation On the remaining amount, which is 99,097,453,000, so it is paid.
Sasa hivi fedha ambazo tumeshazipata kama ulivyo.
Money that we've been able to receive is 260 million. This is some of it. The rest is in the bank, which will be used to buy coffee.
Kahawa.
Tunashukuru TAKUKURU kwa msaada waliotufanyia.
We commend PCCB for assistance that they've given us to recover our money. We commend Honorable President for bringing us workers who are ready to protect the rights of the weak.
And the bodies of all 10 people who drowned after their canoe overturned on Lake Victoria in Kalia Ward, Uvinza district have been identified and taken by their relatives for burial. The regional commissioner, Tobias Genye, said that 5 of the bodies have been taken to Mpanda in Katavi region, and the remaining deceased were residents of Kigoma, and their bodies were taken by their relatives. And that is the end of the national news. We'll be back with international news after this short break. And now in international news. With a few hours left before Kenya resumes international flights, hundreds of Chinese nationals have begun to pack up as they prepare to leave Kenya as COVID-19 infections in the country rise and surpass 20,000.
A week ago, between Spain and the UK were quarantine-free, which, as you know, changed very dramatically. As nations escalate upwards in terms of risk, it's got nothing to do with the diplomatic relationships. What it has to do with is the health assessment and protecting Kenyans. We tested some 8,679 samples in the last 24 hours. We have also lost 16 patients, bringing the fatality to 341.
And Rwanda has warned that it will reinstate the order to close some activities so as to force citizens to stay indoors if they fail to implement strategies to protect themselves from coronavirus set by the Ministry of Health in the country.
Some people are not following set regulations to control the spread of coronavirus. Let it be known that it shall not be acceptable for this illness to become a national tragedy. If people continue to disregard advice given, then it is clear that they want lockdown to be imposed again.
Muslims across the globe, as well as in Mombasa, Kenya, have celebrated Eid al-Hajj as they also fight against the coronavirus. Here's
tunaweza meet the demands of social distancing.
We've been able to meet the demands of social distancing, and we're taking all precautions as required. We're also able to finish prayer on time, just within 1 hour, so everyone is now going home to celebrate with loved ones.
off with the international news. We'll be back with sports news after this break.
Away first time, good start from Bolt. Bolt leading a moment and going away. Gay trying to go with him, and he's going to be dragged through the second place, but he's going to win it by 2 meters. Away first time, good start from Bolt. Bolt leading a moment and going away. Gay trying to go with him, and he's going to be dragged through the second place, but he's going to win it by 2 meters. Aquino. He did lose to Lynn.
And now in sports. The Namungo FC head coach Thierry Hitimana says they respect Simba but aim to win their final of the Federation Cup on Sunday.
The game will be tough. If you check the way Simba played the last 4 games, it is a bit scary, but we are still positive of a win.
The Kazim Nassar Memorial Cricket League, aimed at remembering the former General Secretary of Tanzania Cricket Association, has reached the group stage, with Gymkhana players pledging to return to their form after a poor start.
We are still in the group stage. The games aim at remembering our trainer Kasim Nasser, who was one of the first people to start the Dar es Salaam League. So we are remembering him, and this league is of 30 overs.
Abdallah Panzi has boasted of defeating his opponent Twaha Kiduku in their national championship bout, scheduled to take place in August the 28th at the Uhuru Stadium in Dar es Salaam.
I swear to you, my young brother, Twaha Kiduku, in this expensive building, if you finish 12 rounds, I may stop fighting. First of all, he's not a boxer, he's a bouncer. That is why I want to beat him so he can go guard Fela.
And the Clippers and Lakers faced each other for the first time in nearly 5 months, and they did not disappoint.
With everything they had, but it wasn't enough as they fell to the Lakers 103-101. A Paul George three-pointer with 28 seconds left tied the game at 101 apiece. Over the final 4.5 minutes, the Clippers rallied from 9 down to tie it up. LeBron James, who shot 6 of 19 from the field, missed a jumper with 14 seconds left, but got his own rebound. He then laid it in and put the Lakers ahead by 2. George's heroic three-point attempt as time expired was to no avail as he missed, and the Clippers lost the game. Overall, though, a win would be ideal. It was a very encouraging game from the Clippers given the circumstances.
Lewis Hamilton is optimistic Formula One will present a united front against racism, although there remains disagreement behind the scenes on how the sport approaches it, as Sergio Perez became the first F1 driver to test positive for COVID-19 before this weekend's British Grand Prix. Here are more details.
Point driver has entered quarantine and was not at Silverstone on Thursday, but racing will continue this weekend as planned, with his team using a reserve driver. Hamilton said he had talked to Formula One's leaders and welcomed the adoption of a formal ceremony to show a united front against Sunday's race. However, it also became clear that a large number of drivers would have been questioning whether they should continue with any gestures.
Tottenham are in talks with Internazionale over a deal to sell Tanguy Ndombele for a reduced fee less than 13 months after he became the club's record signing for £55 million.
The France midfielder has endured a difficult first season in the Premier League since joining Spurs from Lyon in July last year and signing a 6-year deal, having started only 12 Premier League games. But despite Jose Mourinho stating he was confident the 23-year-old can turn it around at the start of July, Inter have entered negotiations that could see Ndombele join Antonio Conte's side. Spurs have indicated they would accept £45 million for Ndombele, a figure that would represent a significant loss, although Inter are not believed to be willing to go that high. There is also a possibility of a swap deal involving the Slovakia defender Milan Skriniar, who Mourinho views as a replacement for Jan Vertonghen after the Belgium defender left Spurs at the end of his contract.
And that sports item ends our news bulletin. On behalf of everyone who worked to bring you this bulletin, my name is Vanessa Victor. Thank you for watching. Good night and have a safe weekend.